Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how I actually painted those walls that make up this scene that I took in this city called Udaipur, which is another city in India. And so what I did was I used a large brush to paint a light wash for the base area of the wall. So this means that the base color, the first layer of the wall right here, is done using this light gray tone that I'm actually using the large brush to kind of like, paint. And then later on I'm going to add in more details on the top once this first layer is dry, right? So the thing is, we need to make sure that we have this first layer done first, and that is done using this large brush, which is very convenient for doing very large areas like this. And so we would want to make sure that we have all these very light gray tones that are being done. And so the reason why we need to have all these gray tones that are being done is because the wall is white, but it is not completely white, right? So we would need to make sure that we have all these different very light tones that will give us this very light color that forms the first layer of this painting. Right, so we're almost done right there, and just adding in a little bit of light blue as well. So you can see right now I'm actually adding in a little bit of light blue and also a little bit of that pink and a little bit of that dark color. So that will give us a subtly different kind of color as we embark on the next part of the painting. So just trying to finish up on the left hand side right here. So we want to make sure that we cover this entire wall area. Okay, so just very quickly trying to cover this entire area and that will give us lead us to the next step. Right, so now I'm using the small brush to kind of like create all these details and all these very intricate details, as you can see right here. So we have this, using this small brush, I'm just trying to make sure that we have all these orange and yellow tones and all these gray tones, and these orange and yellow tones are what make up the peeling parts of the wall area, right? So we have this orange and we have this yellow, and we have this dark tones, and we have this. So I'm just using these dark lines to paint the lines of the walls. So I use a dry brush with browns to paint the peeling walls. Right, so this the orange and the brown parts are done by using this dry brush technique. So this dry brush technique again is done by using very little water, using the sides of the brush to kind of like push the paint around, and this will create this dry bits, right, that you're seeing right now. And so this is a very good technique when you're painting all these rustic scenes like Indian scenes with all these dry walls and old walls, peeling walls, and amazing architectures that they looks very old and rustic and brown, and all these things are being done with the dry brush most of the time. Right, so by using this yellow, again we are combining the browns with the yellows, and these browns and the yellows are being combined with the darker tones. And we see right now that this part of the wall is slightly darker than the first layer that we just did, and we can do this even though the wall up there is not dry, because this is a different area. But later on, once it's dry, we can actually paint on top of the first layer that we just did. Okay, so now I'm just using some of those dark lines, some of those dark brown lines that will actually give us all these very nice kinds of textures. So the main thing here is that I'm just using the brush to create a lot of textures, to create all these very attractive textures that you see on those old peeling walls. And so it is very important for us to use that small brush because we have greater control, and and using that large brush would not give us that kind of dry brush technique. And so the dry brush technique is only done using a small brush, and we can use that small brush to kind of like create all these very, very amazing dry brush kind of strokes. So I use dark lines to show all these cracks on the wall, right? So these make up some of the textures on the wall. So we see that in the wall we don't have like smooth kinds of things except maybe at the top part, but right here we have like very rough textures because of the peeling walls and the oldness of the walls. So all this will cause the wall to become like having a lot of texture effects, which I like to paint. And so therefore right now I'm actually using this small brush to paint in all these dry textures and dry brush and all these very nice kinds of colors and strokes that will give us all these nice things. So again, using my fingers, I'm just trying to smudge some of those gray paints, those dark paints. And the finger is also a very good tool when it comes to painting this kinds of scenes. So using the fingers and the brush, I'm just using different colors to enhance the oldness of the textures, right? So we can use a little bit of that red, that dark red, and also now I'm using some pink, some light pinks. So we can use orange, yellow, pink, red, and green, and blue. All these different colors are actually now making up this part of the wall, right? So from the original photo, I kind of like enhanced all these textures and all these colors that I see by just using my hand and my brush. I'm just trying to make sure that we have all these very nice textures and effects that I actually use my fingers and my brush to recreate onto the paper itself. So using this small brush, I'm trying to recreate, again filling up this whole space with all those textures. And using this small brush, I'm just trying to make sure that we have this orange, we have this yellows, we have this pinks, we have this blues, and we have this reds. So all these things are very important when it comes to doing textures, because we don't want the wall to just look gray and black or brown, but we want to have these different colors, subtly different colors that will add a lot of interest and a lot of interesting things for the viewer to look at. And so right now I'm just using the small brush to kind of like flick and to create this dry light textures using my brush. And I'm just going to make sure that we have all these very, very amazing kind of colors, and these are light colors, but you can see that they actually form a large part of this peeling walls. So right now I'm just trying to use some black lines to kind of like do the separation of the pipe, between the pipe which is below there with the wall. So I'm just trying to use my fingers again to smudge some of that lighter browns and lighter grays on the top part of the walls. So again, I'm using that small brush and using my fingers and using these dark strokes, I'm trying to create all these textures that I see. So now we are moving on towards the pipe area, right? So this pipe area is partially covered by the shadow, and so right now I'm doing the shadow areas with the with the small brush, and I'm just adding in a lot of dark paint, a lot of dark strokes, and also some light blues and some blacks and some browns and some all these different kinds of strokes that actually give us a lot of very nice and very interesting kinds of colors. Right, so all these very subtly changing kinds of tones, and dark blues, and we have grays, and all these different things will actually give us very nice kinds of colors in terms of this shadow. So this shadow looks grayish, but I can see that I'm adding in a lot of different details for this gray part as well, using dry brush techniques again. So different kinds of grays, just to make sure that it comes out nicely, right? So you can see that I can use this watercolor to depict this part of the pipe in a very realistic way by painting in all these contrasting things like this dry brush and wet brush and different kinds of grays, and using the small brush and the large brush and combining these different brush strokes to help us to create all these, you know, different kinds of textures that you're seeing right now. And all these different kinds of strokes are what make up the left hand side of the pipe. So you can see that right there in the middle part we have this dark lines and, you know, the shadows and the dark blues and the dry brush techniques. So all these different techniques are what make up, you know, this entire kind of pipe that is, you know, made up of these dry brush. You can see those white bits that are being left because of the dryness of the texture of the walls, and then some of the slightly lighter area which is within that shadow area, and I'm just going to use my brush again to do the right hand side. So again, using that color pencil to kind of like touch up on all these kinds of textures, right? So I'm just using my brush to kind of like create all these different kinds of shadows and lines and light blue tones and brown tones and all these dark browns. So all these things are very interesting when it comes to painting all these textures. And again, we want to finish up this part of the pipe first, this part of the painting, which is again using the dry brush technique. I'm just going to complete this part of the pipe. But this part of the pipe, the right hand side here, is pretty light as compared to the left hand side, right? Because this is being shined by the sunlight. So again, now I'm trying to create some of the wall textures on the right hand side. So using that small brush, just adding in some light blues and some light browns and combining them together with these gray tones. And so it is important for us to combine all these different kinds of colors together with these transition colors like grays and browns. And of course, we have greens, we have blues, we have browns, we have oranges. So all these colors needs to be combined together by these transition colors, which are grays and browns, which we need to have within these different color zones, right? So these are some of the ways to actually combine the colors. Again, I'm actually exaggerating the colors that I see. We don't see such strong blues and yellows and orange, but I'm just trying to enhance the colors because I want to enhance the painting using the kind of like improvisation that I can actually do for my painting when I'm adding in these stronger colors that are stronger than what I actually see in the original photo, right? So we are coming to the end of this video, and we have seen how I actually did all these textures by using dry brush, by using different colors, by using these very quick strokes, by combining dry brush with wet brush techniques, by doing shadows, by using my fingers to actually smudge and to make sure that all these paints are blending together. So these are some very useful techniques when it comes to doing wall textures like this one, and we will look forward to seeing more textures being done in the next few videos, which will be also focusing on the other parts of the wall. But right now, again, using that small brush and those color pencils to enhance those textures on the pipe itself, making it more lifelike, making it more convincing, and using my fingers again to smudge and to add in more details and more textures onto the wall on the right hand side, right? So these are some amazing techniques that you can use to apply onto those walls when you're actually painting textures in watercolor. Hey everyone, it's KY Tom here. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed my video, please hit the like button and comment down below. Do consider to subscribe to my channel for more art videos. Check out the links on the description below to find out more about my art, and I hope to see you in the next one.